You ready?
Ready.
All right, let's do introductions and we'll get going. I'm Chris Crecelius.
And my name is Ben McGee.
And this is the Prince Top 20 countdown, not countdown, the best 20 Prince songs of all time lists from yours truly, Chris Crecelius and Ben McGee. So let's start out by explaining what this is. So this is a picking the best Prince songs, the 20 best Prince songs, and ranking them in order from 20th to first. So you can't just pick 20 songs and it's whatever. You actually have to rank them, which is difficult enough, and then it's even more difficult to pick 20 songs out of a catalog of how many songs?
Too many.
Okay.
I have no clue.
Too many songs. So just a little background on how this started. About a year ago, we were on a trip to Florida, and I listened to a Sirius XM show called Trunk Nation. It's hosted by Eddie Trunk, and he is a hard rock heavy metal. It's a hard rock heavy metal talk show, and he started doing these top 20 lists about a year or two ago, where you take your favorite artist and you pick the 20 greatest top 20 songs, rank them in order. And he's done several of these top 20 lists. I think it started out with like Kiss and Aerosmith and Led Zeppelin and some of these huge rock artists.
And we actually listened to one on the way back.
We did.
It was pretty cool.
Okay. It was pretty cool. So anyways, so we came up with the idea of doing
you
came up with the idea.
You came up with the idea.
I did? Okay.
Yes,
Top 20 all-time Prince songs.
Yeah.
So that was the start of this, and then, we just kind of not forgotten about it, but just kind of put it off or whatever till now, and then you came up with the idea of us doing a podcast. So here we are,
let's do it.
recording this shit so people, the whole World Wide Web can hear us. So anyways, so that was the start of how this list came about. So the rules of the game are you had to rank them from 20th to first in order, and then really there's no other rules. But for me, I tried to pick out what I thought were the top 20 best Prince songs, and I'm not going to penalize a song because it's been overplayed or you're tired of hearing it.
Okay.
It's the 20 best, and so we'll go that way. Now that doesn't necessarily mean that your 20. Obviously, your 20 best is not going to be my 20 best. So,
sure.
But we also have. I would think I'm probably not. I'm more than a casual Prince fan.
Of course.
But I'm not.
You're like a student of music. You love music. I mean,
Thank you.
any type of music. And you're into instruments and all that kind of stuff. So of course you can appreciate a great guitarist.
Yes. Well,
the greatest.
Well, I can appreciate Prince's music. So we'll see how much of my list is guitarist or not.
Sure.
But you are the ultimate Prince fan. You are the probably the person that I know of for sure. There's no one else out there that is a bigger fan that would know more about the catalog and more about the songs. So I'm interested to hearing your list more so than my list may be more of a reflection of the general population. So anyway, so because of that, I want to go first because my list may be kind of like, hey, yeah, we've heard it all, and then we can do that. But so here's what I think we should do. We'll start out and go through the list without a lot of discussion.
Okay.
So I'll read mine from top to bottom, maybe make a comment or two, but not dwell on a song or anything. And then you do it. And then we'll end there, and then we can go back and analyze and nitpick and go through and talk about why we chose a song, why we left out songs.
Okay. Sounds perfect.
What we did there, and then kind of an open discussion. So before we start, though,
and what people don't know is we have not
shared our list. Yes.
So
we've not discussed it. We don't. Neither one of us know what the other one's going to pick or anything. So it's totally off the cuff. Yeah. So anyway, so this has not been planned out in any way, shape, form, or fashion other than we're going to make a list and do this. So before we start, some of the questions are how many songs off both of our lists are going to be off Purple Rain, because that's probably one of the more popular albums. Good question.
Yes.
How many songs won't be off Purple Rain included? How many songs are going to be, if you look at the Billboard Top 100 list of Prince songs, how many of those would be on there or not, and how many songs there no or not. So anyway, just some ideas of some things to think about. So all right, so here we go. I'm going to kick it off.
Let's go.
All right, ready. So what I did was I also put the album title out beside it. So that was helpful to me because the other thing I want to do is see how many songs off of a certain album. Like you get one off, whatever. So kick it off. So number 20 for me is the song Guitar off Planet Earth.
Okay.
Obviously one of the newer songs from Prince. Number 19, When Doves Cry, off Purple Rain, which is another guitar song. The guitar's like that. Number 18, Another Love from Plectrum Electrum.
Look at you.
Awesome guitar.
Okay.
That's an awesome guitar record. We'll talk
What
about
did I
that
say?
later.
I said guitar. You've already picked that guitar.
Guitar.
3 times.
Okay, and then another guitar, number 17, Let's Go Crazy
Okay.
from Purple Rain. Number 16, New Power Generation from Graffiti Bridge. Number 15, I Could Never Take the Place of Your Man.
Oh, that's a good one.
The Sign of the Times. Number 14, Kiss
Okay.
from Parade. Number 13, I Want to Be Your Lover.
All right.
Classic Prince.
You went back. Oh, yeah.
Number 12, Raspberry Beret.
Yes, sir.
Around the World in a Day, because that's Mr. McGee. That has to be on the list. Number 11, Diamonds and Pearls from the album Diamonds and Pearls. Number 10, The Most Beautiful Girl in the World
Okay.
from the Gold Experience.
Look at you.
Number 9, You Got the Look, Sign of the Times. Number 8, the song Gold from the Gold Experience.
Look at you. I am
Great song.
shocked. You are
Great song.
killing this.
Number 7, the song Love from 3121.
Look at. Okay. I'm shocked.
Number 7. That could have been a little higher.
You're pulling
That
them out
might-
today.
That might have been a little higher. I really like the song anyways. But number 6, Cream from Diamonds and Pearls. Number 5, I Would Die for You, Purple Rain. Number 4, Pop Life from Around the World in a Day. Number 3, P Control
Hey, there you go.
from the Gold Experience and or Cristobal, which Cristobal was the first CD where I heard that song. Number 2, Little Red Corvette from 1999. And then number 1, it's the song of all songs. It's the Stairway to Heaven, the Hotel California, the Free Bird of Prince's catalog. It's Purple Rain.
Okay.
So
Well,
that's my top 10.
so that was a really amazing top 20. I would like to probably put that in a playlist and listen to that.
Mhm.
It'd probably be pretty good. I'm actually shocked at a couple of those.
Shocked you?
Yeah. I'm like, wait a minute, because I knew you had the depth. So, but I think, what is it? There's this one song. I know you think that I don't remember that you like this song, but probably would have been 21, the one that freaks on this
It
side.
was on my list. It got cut. It was on there. It got cut.
I know you.
Yes. I had that on there initially, and I had to. When I went through the list and I chopped them down and started moving up and down, it had unfortunately had to come off, but it was on there.
See?
So
I know you.
cool. All right, now I'm ready to hear Ben McGee's list.
All right. Well, I will have to fill in the album on some of these because I did not put them on there.
Okay.
I apologize. But some of them don't necessarily appear on an album.
That's okay.
Because they might have been a bootleg or something like that.
Oh boy.
So, my top 20, starting with number 20. First is Dark. Then number 19 is Adonis and Bathsheba. That was a bootleg. That's another one. And you would, if you have not heard that, you probably, there's like a 2-minute guitar solo in it that is like phenomenal. Another, back to the guitar, number 18, The Question of You. It's like that speaks to my soul. Another kind of bootleg is number 17, which is Just My Imagination. And it's the song you think. It's a remake of that song. We'll talk about that as we go deep. Number 16, Weekend Funk. And that's the second name of it. The first one, you can imagine what it was. Number 15, Wally. Number 14, The Ballad of Dorothy Parker.
Okay.
Number 13, Private Joy. Number 12, 17 Days. Number 11, She's Always in My Hair. Number 10, Anastasia. That's off Love Sexy. And when we get to that, I have a good little story on that one. Number 9, Mountains. Number 8, Money Don't Matter Tonight. Number 7, Computer Blue.
Okay.
Number 6, In Love. Number 5, Power Fantastic. Number 4, Erotic City. Number 3, America.
Good one.
Number 2, Adore. And number 1, all-time favorite Prince song, When Doves Cry.
Ooh.
So that's my list. I'm telling you, it's a mix, and it was so tough for me to
There's a bunch of songs
narrow
on here
down
that-
and move it, and it's crazy.
Okay, so there's a bunch of songs here that I've never heard of. So now that's why I went to go
This
through.
is gonna be even better.
So, but that's wild because there was obviously so. So if we go through this and look at, I wish some of these we would know what the album was to know kind of what they come.
I could probably tell you off the top of my head.
You
But
probably
hold
could.
on, let's pause.
Okay.
Look at this shirt that you have. Well, we're not recording. I mean, we don't have video,
Yeah.
but you guys can't see. Chris has, what I call him, CC or whatever. He has a bunch of nicknames, but he has on a T-shirt from Eric Clapton. And at one time, Eric Clapton was being interviewed, and they asked him, "What is it like to be the greatest guitar player in the world?"
Mm-hmm.
Eric Clapton's response was, "I don't know. Ask Prince."
Ooh, damn.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
that
was just pretty cool.
We not
You wore
argue with
shirt.
that at all because I think he is one of the best. So that man, that's God. Your list is unbelievable. I mean, I want to go through and listen to your list because some of these I recognize the songs and I've probably heard them, but some of them I don't even know that. I don't even know. So, anyways, that's interesting. So, if we look at, this is what I expected was that the majority of your list wasn't going to be the top, was not going to be things related to the hits.
Oh, sure.
So,
even though there are some things in there, which I guess what I was really shocked about the most was that my top 20 Prince songs, Purple Rain, wasn't even on there.
Yeah.
So I was like, whoa,
Yeah.
what? So I did have I had to take a step back and be like, whoa, hold on.
well, so for me, there were songs that that were cut that I thought were good. I mean, like I only had one. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 songs off of Purple Rain.
Okay.
But you could, you could say, so how many songs were on Purple Rain? How many?
9.
Okay, so you could say that you had 9 songs off that album, and they all be great Prince songs. So, and I didn't want, now Purple Rain that's one of those that I don't think you've heard it a million times. It's like, yeah, whatever. But it's still, to me, doesn't matter that you've heard it a bajillion times and you might be tired of hearing it or you might whatever. To me, it's still the best,
And they recorded it live. But it was edited because there's another verse in Purple Rain.
Yeah.
So I'll have to play that one for you too.
Okay.
So there's more. But it's so funny because it doesn't add anything to the song. So to hear it out, how when you hear what the recording artist wanted, like they bring you all these songs, and the record company is like, how about you narrow that down to this,
right?
Or you edit this,
right?
And then to hear what was put out, and then to hear their vision is, it's kind of interesting to hear that to me. But some things, that's just, we talk about all these songs that were in Prince's vault, that the estate is kind of slowly letting some of them things out. Some of those things were in the vault for a reason, and they probably should have stayed in there. But I'm one of those Prince fans that I'll admit, like some of that stuff is like, okay, that was just like a thought, an afterthought maybe. So, yeah. But
all right. So of the stuff that's on your list, how much of these songs were, like, if you could divide them up into what era of his career? Like, were early, late, some of these that, that were, like, if you took, that's what I'm saying, that's why, like, the album's so, like, dark. What album was that song off?
Come.
So that would have been 1990, late 90s?
That was, hold on, I should probably know this after. It was after Diamonds and Pearls, I believe.
Let's go.
I need to see for sure. Or was it before? It might have been the one right before Diamonds and Pearls. I'm not sure. I'd have to look to make sure.
So
you already stumped me.
I guess that's my question is, so what, like some of these, like you take the first 2 or 3 albums, so like the only one I had off of those was I Want to Be Your Lover, because there were some good songs on there. Like there was
that was on the second album.
right. Well, that's the first, like the first 2 or 3 albums. So one of the songs that was initially on my list that got cut was "I Feel for You,"
Okay.
which was better known as the Shaka Khan cover.
But it's a good song. Exactly.
But it's like, all right, so there was some, and there's a couple of cool guitar songs on some of those albums too. But you don't, I don't think you have any off those, do you?
Well, yeah, the song "In Love"
Okay.
is off of his first album.
Okay,
and it's almost like the first song that he put out, and the thing that, as Prince, because he was in 94 East, they put out something, but he was like not listed as like he was in a band, but as a solo artist. But the thing that if you listen and the first time that you hear that song "In Love," you have to think about it, the technology that was available to him at the time. So you're going to hear multiple instruments, you're going to hear multiple voices, and think he laid down one track of the guitar.
Right.
Stop. Then he laid down a vocal. Stop. Then he did the drums. Stop. Then he did synthesizer. Stop. Then he starts to weave that together. It's like, oh, I need a backup voice on here, and did that. So he did everything you hear is one person.
Right.
And he did that just from recording single
They
tracks
didn't
and
have
putting them
Pro
together.
Tools and all those things. You had to put them on tape and do all that stuff.
Exactly.
But I guess that was my point, was if you listen to some of those earlier albums, because of the differences in the technology from recording versus 20 years later, what would those songs have sounded like had Prince done them in 2000 or 1995 or something like that? Or even the later 80s. I mean, the first album, I think it says on here that was For You, and it was, what was the release date on this thing? 78, 70, something like that. So I mean, you figure 88, that 10 years later, even the studio technology and the way that recording was done and some of the stuff that he was doing later, they would have sounded differently.
But also, to your point, how the artist evolves.
Yeah.
Because one of the songs on your list, "I Can Never Take the Place of Your Man," the first time that song came, it was during 1999. So there's a version of that song that came out during like the 1999 era. But of course, it's on Sign of the Times, and it sounds way better.
Right.
So it's like that evolution, that time, that growth was also, instrumental in his work as well. Because sometimes he might have something and say, okay, well, maybe this is kind of like a half-baked idea. Let me put this right here for right now, and then I'll go back and come back to it.
Yeah. And there's also differences in the production of some of the albums. Some of them, the way that they were recorded, or the mixes, or whatever. There were some that, like the Gold Experience, to me, the sound of that record, the way the songs were recorded, for whatever reason, they just sound really good. Not that the others sound bad, but there's differences in some of those things that, whatever he was doing at the time, that was, whether it was more samples or computer stuff versus being, I don't know how to describe
because
it.
Dolphin is on that same album that you're talking about, and I love that song too.
So anyway, so that was like, I'm just trying to look through. I wrote down what you pick out some of the other songs on yours and why they were on their list, or why you liked them, or why you picked them.
Okay, so let's say, like I said, number 17, "Just My Imagination." That's a bootleg. It was never released. He had done a show in Paris, and after the show, he was notorious for doing after parties. So he went to a club and just start with the band, start playing music, and they were recording, and they start playing "Just My Imagination," and of course, the guitar is like the lead singer of the song. If you hear it's through the song, you'll have to hear it. So we'll definitely play that so you can hear that. It's awesome. It's moving, very moving.
Yeah. Now okay. So that leads me to another thing was, go ahead. You talk more about, pick another song, something else off of it.
A lot of the songs on my list are like kind of like, or bootlegs or B-sides.
Yeah. Because
he was, again, notorious, like we learned when we went to Paisley Park. He didn't like to waste tape. So You know, it's like, well, we got to turn this record over. We got to play something else. We got to keep going. And like his B-sides were sometimes, you know, as equal to like jam worthy as the song on the front. And you know how most times when, you know, and what's that on the B-side for the younger listener, when we used to buy records back in the day, you know, we'd have a 45 and it would have the song, your main song on one side, and on the back side would be sometimes just like a throwaway.
Right.
But of
These
course,
throwaway songs weren't.
Sure,
Yes.
never. Prince never gave you a throwaway.
Right.
So you got your, what was it, like $1.38?
Yes.
Oh my God, we're so old.
So what would be, all right, I'm just trying to look through here and see. So,
So like another one that I like was Wally.
that was
And
one.
that's a song, if you hear, and you have to give credit to Andrea Swenson, who did a podcast for the Prince Estate. It's like the official podcast. If you get a chance to listen to it on iTunes, she is amazing. She did her research. But one of the people that she interviews is Susan Rogers, who was Prince's engineer for a lot of the significant times that he was out. And when he would like to go to the studio, he might play something, but he might play something and it's, you know, how we're all our own worst critic, and he'd hate it, so he'd say erase it or throw that stuff away. And so this was kind of a song that came about that was, she didn't throw it away, she kept it. So it's one of those things that, and you need to hear the story behind it, because the song is kind of Prince being vulnerable. It's after he broke up with Susanna from the family, which was Wendy and Lisa's twin sister, and he just kind of, I guess that was his therapy, was through that song.
Yeah.
So if you listen to it, there's kind of that, the heartbreaker or whatever you want to say that's in it. So, but that was the only kind of vulnerability he ever showed. As far, I mean, because we wouldn't have known, because I just heard the song myself like 2 or 3 years ago, but like it was never released. But of course,
So that one came out on the Super Deluxe edition.
Yes.
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
But I mean,
so a lot of those.
Of course, it'd been bootlegs running around. Like there's some songs that, like he has a song called, what is it? The name of the official name of the song is Moonbeam Levels, but I heard the bootleg like in the early '90s. And it didn't have a name to the song. So I've been, for like 30 years, calling this song A Better Place to Die, because that was in the chorus of the song. But that was not the name of the song. So it's like when it officially came out, I'm like, no, I'm still calling it my name because it was better. It's a better name. But I mean, notorious for stuff like that.
So, all right. So of all the songs that are on yours, how many of these do you think are like one-offs or bootlegs versus songs that are on an album? So like I want to go dig these out and find them, and I'm not going to find them on a regular album or like on my streaming service or whatever it is, or you go to find music nowadays.
5
of them. Okay. Okay, that's not bad. That's so just 5 of them. So okay.
Because I sat here and I just counted real quick.
So all right. So now the next question. So divide them up into like eras. Like if on your list, what we had one example was from the early era, like from the first, 3 or 4 records. So, like, all right, this is a whole nother question, and we might have a whole other podcast on this stuff about albums. But like, if you divided it, like, so to me, there were eras, different sections of time, where whether it was with this particular band or that particular New Power Generation or the Revolution or whoever it was that he did things in. So, of these, are there any eras of the band that there are more songs on your list than others? Or is it spread out?
I think it's spread out, but looking at this and actually knowing like how he transitioned musicians in and out, I believe the time that, because remember Lisa was with him from the beginning, and then like her and Wendy got together, and then as far as like in Around the World in a Day, during that kind of time frame, is they had already like 13 of the 15 songs on Sign of the Times they played on.
Yeah.
But they broke up before that album was released, so everything they did on that album, they took it off.
Okay.
So yeah, so they were. I mean, but they were a big part of that. Sign of the Times. So it's like, ugh, it's tough because like I'd say a lot of it is between 84 and 88.
Okay. On your list?
To be exact.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like looking at it, like, but even though there's some stuff after it, but I'd say the majority of it because it was just such a influential, to me at least. Like I'll give you an example, and this is a horrible story, but it's the truth. Like number 10, Anastasia.
Mm-hmm.
That's on Love Sexy.
Okay.
I went to, I worked at Walmart.
Mm-hmm.
We were from 11th grade until I went to...
Love Sexy came out in 1988.
Mm-hmm. So that was the summer of our senior year.
Yes.
So me and you're supposed to say yourself last, I'm sorry. My dad, Reginald, and I drove from West Memphis...
You told me this story.
Yes.
Yeah.
To Los Angeles.
Right.
And I had exactly 2 tapes. I had Love Sexy, and I had Guns N' Roses' Appetite for Destruction. That's why it's like every nuance, blah, 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 I probably know on that. But that was just a super deep song to me. It's always kind of resonated with me.
So see, that's my point, is there are probably things for me, I know that because of the time when you listen to it, or because it was a time, like there were periods of time where you were able to listen to more, like
Mm-hmm.
you're driving, that's all you got to do, where nowadays listening to music is harder to do because of all the things that distract us. Back in those days, there wasn't anything to do. So you either heard it on the radio or you bought the album or the CD and you listened to it.
We didn't have CDs in the 80s.
Well, yeah, we did, but in the 80s, yeah, we did. I got my first CD in 1985 or 6. My first CD player.
Really?
Yes. My parents bought me a CD player for Christmas, and I'm pretty sure it was 85. Shit. It was it had to be one of the first CD players because this CD player, you could program the songs like in order, that was the coolest thing, was you didn't have to listen to track 1 through whatever.
Okay.
But this one would only let you program up to 9 songs. So if the CD had 10 or 11 songs on it, you could only program 9. Because that was that was the early technology. Okay. So anyways, but anyways, cassette, whatever we listened to on cassette. But so there are some of the stuff on my list was stuff that we listened to because you had the cassette. If it was a deep track, you heard it, or then maybe later on, like there was probably a period there in the early 2000s where I didn't, there wasn't a lot of Prince being played on the radio. Mm-hmm. So you didn't hear a lot of the songs. Might not even know that there was an album out because the internet wasn't really. You didn't really have the internet like we have now that you could follow an artist or do whatever. You had to be a fan club member or hardcore or whatever. So there's a period of time there where stuff was missing out for me. And then I picked up on the internet. Oh, wait a minute. Prince is coming out with this. Whatever. Sure. And so there's some of the later stuff where I have the CDs of where I don't have a lot of those maybe late 90s, early 2000s albums. I didn't know what they were till later on, till I came back to them and listened to them. So P Control is an example of one of the songs that I didn't know that existed because that was in 90. All right, let's go back. See, that was in 94, I think, was when that came out. And the first time I heard that song was in a club when I was living in Chattanooga.
Okay.
And it was a dance club, and they played this song.
You were like, whoa.
And I'm like, this is Prince. I mean, as soon as it started, this is Prince. And I was like, oh my God, when did he do this song? I got to go find this. So that's when I went to the record store and I'm searching through the CD bins. Yes, searching through the CD bins to try to figure, because I had no idea what album it came out on. I didn't know anything. I'm just going through and looking at CDs to try to find this. Mm-hmm. And I it seems like maybe for about a month or two, I went looking at different ones to try to find it. And I went into this one record store, and I probably had been in there before, looking through the bins and looking at the Prince bins, and I see this. And the other thing that I knew at that time was that he was distributing his own. In other words, he had broken off from the record company, mm-hmm. and he had his own record thing. And I think there was some drama about distribution, and so you start your own record label, but you had limited distribution, so it wasn't like his records were getting set up in the front of the store where you walk in and it's a new Prince CD, because it was all the business. It was the symbol, yeah. And there's all that stuff going on, so it was harder to find for a casual fan, it was probably harder to find
Sure.
stuff like that. So that was where I saw this big thick ass CD case and it said Crystal Ball on it. And then I looked through the track listing and there it was.
You're like,
That's
hell
I went, well, first of all, I bought it because I didn't. It's like I didn't even know it was on there. But I don't see it on anything else. I'm going to buy this.
Sure.
And there it was. There was that
Love
song.
it.
But there was also all this other music that
Oh,
was
yeah.
on that compilation CD or whatever it was that you discovered because you had it.
You
and
know
it went out.
that was from like 5 different
Yes,
albums.
yeah, and at the time you didn't know that, but
Yeah.
later on you figure that out.
Yeah.
So, anyways, so that was one experience with that song, which I thought was just the coolest dance song ever. Still think it's the coolest dance
Sure.
song ever. And then,
Now tell me about Love. Like,
Okay.
because I love that. I
Yes.
actually love that song on 3121. And so
That's
when
a-
you said that, I was like, what?
so that's a CD that I bought. That's a later 2000
Uh-huh.
CD that I bought it when it came out because I knew it was there. Probably, if you look at my CD collection, that's probably one of the where I picked back up and started, started buying more stuff because I knew about it or knew it was coming out. And that's just always, I just always thought that was a great song on that CD. It's just really, it's a really good, and I don't know what the hits were on that, if there were hits off of it or weren't. I don't know that one ever was.
Sure.
But it's great.
Yeah.
It's fabulous.
The music, the words,
It's
everything.
awesome. So that was, but see, that's a pure time. So that one, and then like the album after that, Planet Earth, was where that song Guitar came
Uh-huh.
on, where it's a song about he loves his guitar, and it's a guitar song. So those were some examples of some of the later CDs where I just picked back up. But then there were like, of course, a lot of the earlier stuff when we were growing up that we heard, like Purple Rain and that album, and then Around the World in a Day, and some of those Sign of the Times, that stuff that was around that you heard a lot of. And then there were some hits off some of these others that were good, and you go back and listen to the records and you're like, yeah, that's a good song on there. And then I think the only other thing that is really on my list that was just trying to think here.
MPG.
Yeah, that's a good song. Just a good,
Oh, yeah.
good song. It was.
I'm sitting here like, look at you pulling out.
Well, I mean, they're just good songs on there. If you listen to those,
like, I am
if you listen
proud
through
of
those,
you.
those are good songs. So there's, and then of course, Little Red Corvette. I guess that was probably, I think in my mind, that's probably the first Prince song I ever heard.
Okay.
Because we grew up in the Memphis area, and FM 100 was the radio station that played all the quote unquote hit songs, and that probably came on FM 100, and that's probably the first time that I heard it. And it talked about a car, which I was into cars, but it's a great song, and it's still a great song. I mean, it's just a badass song.
Yeah.
So
I think the first. See, I had an older sister.
Aha.
So
Yes.
the first Prince song I heard was "Dirty Mind."
Uh-huh.
So it's like, which was probably about accurate.
Yeah.
So I'm like, wait a minute, hold on. So putting stuff together.
Yes.
But I'm like, that's a 4th or 5th grade brain. Like, "Dirty Mind." What is that about?
Right.
And so that's where.
So yeah, so for me it was Little Red Corvette, and then after that, my friend Ben McGee turned me on to more Prince stuff. Probably there's a lot of that
Hey.
stuff along the way there that I probably got into because of you. Listening to a lot of that stuff, and then the movie. Obviously, all of us in our generation, grew up watching Purple Rain, and that's one of our classics. One of those movies that we've watched forever.
So do you know what's the sushi place? No, the restaurant, Sakasushi. It's right across from Starbucks.
Okay.
Right up the street.
Yeah.
On Poplar Plaza.
Yeah.
There used to be a movie theater,
Okay.
and that's where I saw Purple Rain.
Okay.
And my sister dropped me off. Like how you had to call and get the times of the show times, and she had something to do, and I had something. I got her to drop me off because it was like 7th grade. That's like '84, and I was we didn't have a cell phone to call, so
Right.
it was like, you be standing right here at this time,
Yes.
so I can pick you up. Well, at the movie that played after Purple Rain was the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah.
So you remember, people used to dress up as characters and
Yeah.
stuff.
Oh,
so
Lord.
I was like standing here and seeing after the movie, and I'm like standing outside in the dark, watching these people walk up. And I'm like, oh my God, where's Ivy? Come pick me up, come pick me up, come pick me
All
up.
these weirdos.
Yeah. And of course, like now, those would be my people, of course.
Right.
So it's like just crazy.
So if you look, so the other thing I did was, and I did this after. I did not when I put my list together. I started out with, all right, these are the songs that I know that I like, and just started listing them out. Whatever. And then I went back through and started looking at the catalog on the albums to jog my memory of something maybe I hadn't heard in a while. There were a couple things that popped up like, oh yeah, I'd forgotten about that song. So, but I didn't in no time look at the charts or look at any kind of Wikipedia or anything like that till I was done. And I did this because I wanted to see, all right, now I've got my list. How many of my songs would have been on the Billboard like Hot 100 list? So if you take the Billboard Hot 100 for Prince and you look at the top songs, and I think that they've got it ranked by weeks. They've got it ranked by weeks on the chart. So there were a total of 5. So he had 5 number 1 hits on the Billboard charts. He's had 19 top 10 hits, and there are 47 total songs that made the Hot 100. Okay. But if you take the top 5, number 1 is 1999, which did not make either one of ours list, which was on my list originally, but it got chopped down once you.
I'm laughing because remember yesterday when we heard it, I was like, that didn't make the list. And you were like,
I want to know. I want to know.
I just thought
and
about that.
It was originally like, it was like my number 20. It stayed on my number 20, stayed on my number 20. But then I kept, like, I found a couple other things that I thought, this is better. And it's a good song.
Sure.
But it just, I don't think it's his 20 best songs. It's popular because of the theme of the song and when it came out. And the other thing about, that was number 2 was the most beautiful girl in the world. And that song made it to number 3. It's been on the charts that was the second. Number 3 was You Got the Look. It made it to number 2. Little Red Corvette. It made it to number 6. And then the song 7 was the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th.
I cannot
song.
believe that didn't make my list because I still love that song.
And it's a good song. And then number 8 was When Doves Cry. That's the first number 1.
Yeah.
And it was 5 weeks at number 1. So after that, Diamonds and Pearls, Let's Go Crazy was number 1 for 2 weeks. Cream was the one after that, number 1 for 2 weeks. Kiss was number 1 for 2 weeks after that. And then Purple Rain. And then Bat Dance was number 1 for 1 week. So anyways, you go on down, you could go all through the list or whatever. Maybe that's another podcast for another day to go through the top 100 and talk about them. But anyway, so I think of all of my songs, there may have been Heat Control was not on the top 100 list.
Of course
and
not.
I don't think the song Love was not on there. I don't think. And then what else was not on there? If I look through, there was one other I thought that was not on there. Guitar, the song Guitar, and the song Another Love. Now, Another Love, that was one. See, that's a good example of an album. Is it The Third Eye Girl? Okay, so that's the album that he did with the 3 women. That was a band project, sort of, that is awesome. And it's one of the newer songs, and it's a rock album.
Yes, but
okay,
having seen him through many eras in concert, that was the weakest touring band he was ever with.
Okay,
to me, because we saw Dustin Tracy. I went to see him in Louisville, Kentucky.
Okay.
Which now, don't get me wrong, it was an excellent concert.
Right.
But as far as when you've seen him
play with the
full band, with the horns, with all that, with dancers, stuff like that, it's like there's nothing you can compare to it.
Well, and I'm talking about live. I'm just talking about the songs themselves on the record. They have a guitar vibe to them, and it's guitar bass and drums kind of thing.
Was Donna Gradis? I can't remember the other girl. Oh, I should.
But there's a song that they call Wow that's good too. But that song I think is just really, really, really good. Just a really good song that was kind of guitar based on it. But all right, so now let's talk about songs that didn't make your list that were up there, but maybe that you cut or that you were like friends. So like for me, off the list of stuff was Another Lover Hole in My Head. That's another.
I love that song. Yes,
was probably up there at one time that I bumped down. I Feel For You. I talked about that one earlier. That was the song that was there. Any of the Purple Rain songs like Take Me With You, Darling Nikki, Baby I'm a Star.
Yes.
Those were, because I probably started out with all the Purple Rain stuff that I love and put them on there. and then I
And then start
chip
weeding
them
it
down. I
out.
start chipping. They just start sliding down.
Well, it's
so
like-
those all slide down there, but Get Off was on there. Sexy
Yes.
MF was on
course.
there. Those were, but they're good songs. But they're just not.
When you try to narrow it down,
When
to
you
20,
try to narrow it down, so that's
tough.
hard. It's hard to do. So
So tough.
yeah. What about you?
Yeah. Well, that's why it was hard for me on like some of the bootlegs that I like.
Yeah.
Like Cookie Jar, I didn't put that on there.
Yeah.
That's another song that I loved forever. I didn't put anything off the Black Album on there because it's just so obscure and it's like
Yeah.
not a lot of people know the songs off that album. It's just there. I always like Controversy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean that's
Yeah.
like
That was on my. That was one of the ones I thought that was kind of up there too.
So it's just like, it's like, what do you do? How do you do it? So, I mean, like you said, it could be a conversation
Yeah.
for another day.
So that would be okay. So now that goes to the next. So there's some other things you could do with this. You could take and do top 10 lists for different
Okay.
things. You could do top 10 albums.
Right?
You could do top 10 guitar songs.
Oh my God. That would be tough.
It would be tough. Or top 10 dance songs. Or top 10 ballad/love songs.
That would be the hardest.
Or the top 10 nastiest songs of Princess Caroline.
Now, that would.
You could only have you could have a separate category
Yes,
for that.
you could.
So those are some
You
ideas
could.
for some additional top just for Prince.
I love
Some
it.
other lists that we could do that you could go the top 10s on there anyway. So, but
we'll definitely keep that in mind.
the other thing too, you were talking about cover. The other thing I had was covers because there were some. He has a few covers, not many, but he has a few
Oh,
cover
yeah.
songs because you had one that was one of the bootlegs was a cover tune.
Uh-huh.
But like, just these are just like honorable mention things, not honorable mentions, but like the covers that are cool, like Crimson and Clover. He did a cover of that, and then the there's another cover that was
It just came out
Every Day
recently.
Is a Winding Road. He
Oh,
did
yeah.
a cover of.
An Even Flow from Pearl Jam.
Okay.
He did a cover of that. What's the... Oh my God. Smashing Pumpkins. The song he did at the Super Bowl.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. I didn't want to count the Super Bowl stuff because it was never
No.
on an actual recording.
Okay.
Because I mean, he did the Foo Fighters in the Super Bowl. So, but I mean,
Foo Fighters. Why does
yeah,
Smashing
the
Pumpkins?
Best of You.
He did something from Smashing Pumpkins though.
He probably did.
There's
But anyways, but just stuff that he actually because he
Gotcha.
didn't record
No.
a lot of other people's songs.
That's
but
true.
there was one, and there's also a song that he recorded that was in the vault. I think that I don't know if it came out. That was a Soul Asylum song. That was we were talking about that one at the Paisley Park that he recorded that I think is in the vault somewhere. Or may not come out. Anyways, but that's another cool thing. It would be going through and finding the covers that. But there's just some songs that were really good guitar songs too that you could go through and list out, and then
or the songs that he wrote for other people.
or weirdo songs like Ronnie Talked to Russia.
Yeah. That was a crazy. Well, that whole album had some crazy ones.
What album was that one?
Like-
That was on
That was Controversy.
Controversy. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it's got
Ronnie.
Ronnie
Yes.
Talk to Rich. Jack You Off is on there. I mean, it's like a lot of like songs on there. It's like, oh my God.
Yep. I see that.
Anti-Christian, Antichrist, till you crucified.
Ooh.
I live my life in a taxi cab, And then it's
So-
like, but as much as people want to
Yeah.
talk about how nasty he was, what other musician has a song that has the entire Lord's Prayer in it?
Yeah.
Okay?
Yep.
So
There's
let's,
a lot of religious songs.
So it's
in there.
like a lot of his stuff
Yes.
has religious, inflection, meaning in it. So it's like so much.
So what else?
I don't know. I feel like this, for us to be like, this is like off the cuff. This is just us doing it. And we're almost like 45 minutes in, and it's been a good one. So maybe we can end this one a little shorter, and for the next one, we'll be ready, and we can kind of leave our playlist for people to try and put them together and see what they like.
Yep, absolutely. So if we happen to post this somewhere where you could comment on it, I don't know if you ever do,
That would be-
wherever that would be, if you're listening to this somewhere,
We'll figure it out.
and whatever, and you can comment on it. Make up a list of your top 20, rank them 20 to 1. You can't cheat and just put 20 on there and say, I don't know if they're all good. You gotta rank them.
Yes.
You gotta rank from 20 to 1 and then sit up.
I love it.
It's been fun.
Yes. Let's
Awesome.
do it again.
Okay.
All right.